Yeah, and so is Commissioner Daniels. Yeah,
Are you kind of happy really just
yeah, okay. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's 9 o'clock. There is a quorum of the Commissioners Court who are here. A number of our colleagues are stuck in traffic along with our invocator, but we're going to proceed. We recognize that all of your time is valuable. So it's Tuesday, March the 21st. A quorum of the Commissioners Court is present. All legal notices have been posted, and this court is now duly called. Can I get a motion to open the court?
so moved?
Second.
Got a motion from Dr. Garcia, second for Commissioner Summerman, that we proceed. The court is open. Is there any unreadiness? Hearing none. All those in favor, let it be known by the usual sign of voting.
Aye.
Those who are opposed, same sign. Chair is in the affirmative. Our guest, as I said, Reverend Gerald Britt, is stuck in traffic, and so we've asked Assistant Court Administrator Gordon Heichel to bring the invocation. Will you please, Bailiff?
All right.
All rise. The Dallas County Commissioners Court is now in session for the March 2023 term. The Honorable Commissioner John Wiley Price presiding. Please remain standing for the invocation.
Thank you, sir. Shall we all pray? Great God of heaven, we thank you for this morning. We thank you for the privilege we have to come and stand here before you this morning, O sovereign God. We thank you for waking us up this morning in our right minds with health and strength in our bodies, and the purpose for which, God, that we are going to embrace this day, and we thank you for that, Lord. Today, as we go about taking part and doing the people's business, we ask you to be with us. And God, as this court proceeds and the discussion becomes intense, we ask you to remind us, oh God, in the midst of our disagreement, let us remain cordial one to the other, oh God. Let us hear what each other has to say, and let us with careful hearts and careful minds consider each other's opinion as we debate robustly, taking part of the people's business, because we know ultimately, God, it is your business that we seek to perform here today. For those that are traveling, that are late, we ask you to be with them, grant them safe travels, and we ask you that you take charge of this meeting today, for we ask it all in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Deacon.
There you go.
Gonna ask you to bridge.
Caught in traffic. Daniel's caught in traffic. Yes. Yeah, so we can get to the resolutions. The public hearing is not until 9:30. And Judge, if you will permit, I have the first resolution. The Dallas County Department of Public Safety has been pulled. That resolution has been pulled by me. The next resolution is Gideon versus Wainwright, the 60th anniversary, and I would ask the Public Defender's Office and all those who are part of this delegation to please come forward. Whereas March 18th, 2023 marks the 60th anniversary of the landmark decision in Gideon versus Wainwright, 372 U.S. 335, 1963, which extended the Sixth Amendment right of counsel to state court cases after Clarence Earl Gideon was forced to defend himself against felony charges because he could not afford to hire an attorney, and his request to have an attorney appointed to represent him was refused in the Florida courts. And whereas the opinion in Gideon versus Wainwright states, and I quote, "From the very beginning, our state and national Constitution and laws have laid great emphasis on procedural and substantive safeguards designed to assure fair trials and before impartial tribunals in which every defendant stands equal before the law. This noble idea cannot be realized if the poor man charged with crime has to face his accusers without a lawyer to assist him. And whereas in 1983, influenced by the spirit of the justice and the story of Clarence Earl Gideon, Commissioner John Wiley Price was instrumental in leading the change, using the platform, the presence, and influence to establish the Dallas County Public Defender's Office, pursuant to Article 26.0044 of the Texas Code of Criminal Procedure, by forming the Dallas County Public Defender's Office. Dallas County has duly fulfilled its obligation to fund indigent defense. And whereas what began with a staff of 14, including 8 attorneys, representing clients in 4 criminal district courts, 2 investigators, 2 secretaries, a receptionist, and an interpreter, has blossomed into the largest public defender's office of its kind in the state of Texas. And whereas recognized by the Commissioner's Court for their effective and efficient representation that not only meets but exceeds the requirements of Gideon versus Wainwright. The Public Defender's Office has grown incrementally from its inception in 1983 to its present state in 2023 as the premier model for indigent defense and holistic representation in the state of Texas, and an organization that is comprised of misdemeanor and felony trial divisions, an appellate division, a mental health and special programs division, a capital division, an actual innocent and exoneration division, a juvenile division, a child protection division, a family division, an investigative division, an administrative division that includes secretaries, paralegals, legal assistants, office administrators, and an interpreter, with a total of 159 employees. And whereas in February 2022, the Public Defender's Office accepted the responsibility to fulfill the constitutional promise of equal representation for indigent clients involved in 32,074 matters across 38 criminal, civil, and juvenile courts in Dallas County. And whereas the Dallas County Public Defender's Office has trained students from high school, colleges, universities, and law centers throughout the country and even abroad. The office is an approved organization where law students and college students may receive their school credit through internship, externship, the programs, and complete their service requirements. The office has trained law students from more than 40 law schools across the country, including Southern Methodist University, Texas Tech, University of Texas A&M Universities, Texas Southern University, Thurgood Marshall, School of Law, UNT, Dallas College of Law, Howard University, Boston University, Spelman College, Brown University, Emory University, Harvard University, Wake Forest University, Case Western Reserve, William and Mary Law School, Vanderbilt University, Columbia University, Tulane University, University of Texas, University of Florida, University of Michigan, University of Oklahoma, and Baruch, and the university in Germany, among others. And whereas the Dallas County Public Defender's Office has partnered with the North Texas Council for International Visitors and the World Affairs Council of the Dallas-Fort Worth in an international visitor leadership program sponsored by the U.S. Department of State to host judges, defense attorneys, prosecutors, legal scholars, Ministry of Justice officials, and others who are active in judicial reform from Uzbekistan, Iraq, Vietnam, Barbados, Czech Republic, Denmark, Ghana, Lebanon, Maldives, Republic of Turica, Romania, Rwanda, and Serbia to give insight into the United States judicial system and acquaint visiting officials with the roles that public defenders, private defense attorneys, prosecutors, and judges play in our criminal justice system. And whereas the Dallas County Public Defender's Office has in its commitment to client-centered, holistic representation, created partnerships and formed collaborative relationships for the benefit of their clients and the greater Dallas County community with various social service organizations, mental health providers, municipal court programs, peer support programs, jail-based rehabilitative programs, post-incarceration reentry programs, housing providers, education and skill training programs, and no-cost legal providers. And whereas the Dallas County Public Defender's Office consistently evaluates the unmet needs of its clients, identifying areas for growth and expansion of program and services that Public Defender's Office could most effectively provide with the support of the Commissioner's Court, the Texas Indigent Defense Commission, and successful grant funding applications, creating innovative service models such as community engagement teams that enhance legal representation through the use of mental health case managers and social workers to provide holistic, wraparound care for clients entrusted to the Public Defender's Office, and through community education and engagement opportunities such as the recent creation of the Deep Dive podcast and participation in the community events. And whereas Dallas County Public Defender's Office in the all aforementioned ensures that indigents accused in Dallas County does not face his or her accusers without a lawyer to assist them, reuniting parents with children, securing release for clients facing pretrial detention, securing the right to life for clients facing the death penalty, ensuring freedom for clients facing the many serious charges, guarding the rights of those denied justice in lower courts, and fighting for the exoneration of those falsely convicted of a crime. And I quote, "I am the guardian of the presumption of innocence. My clients are the indigent accused. They are lonely, the friendliest. There is no one to speak for them but me. My voice will be raised in their defense. I will protect and defend my clients and the Constitution, excuse me, and laws of the United States and of the state of Texas. Now, therefore," no, y'all didn't think I was going to get to that. "Be it resolved that the Dallas County Commissioner's Court extends sincere gratitude to the Dallas County Public Defender's Office for its tireless pursuit to ensure that," and I quote, "the least of these our brothers and sisters," unquote, "receive effective and zealous legal representation regardless of their socioeconomic status, and that each and every client they represent stands equal before the law." I so move.
Second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed?
Turn your mic.
Motion carries unanimously.
Turn your mic on. It's not on. Okay, there you go. Okay. Ms. Richardson, good morning.
Good morning. That was a
I'm
mouthful.
I'm going to read this again.
Hey, you missed a word. Start over.
You know, as lawyers, we're long-winded. Commissioner Garcia, Commissioner Price, Judge Jenkins, Commissioner Summerman. First of all, I want to thank you for your support for our office. We appreciate that. We know that you have a difficult task in managing all of the various departments, but we want you to know how much we appreciate what you've done to support us over the years. Just wanted to show you a picture of Clarence Earl Gideon, okay? Now, it's important because he made history in my home state of Florida. He was a guy with a 6th grade education, ran away from home because he had an abusive stepfather, was a petty criminal, actually got in trouble all over the country. In some of the states, in his home state of Missouri, when he got in trouble, he was able to get a lawyer. But when he started committing crimes in the state of Florida, that was not available to him except if those individuals were charged with a capital case. And so he decided that he was going to represent himself on a case that he was charged in breaking and entering into a pool hall, of all places. And he represented himself and was found guilty. He filed a petition to the Supreme Court of the state of Florida, and they denied it. And then later he appealed it to the United States Supreme Court. It is rumored, and I just found this out by reading this today, I'm from West Palm Beach, Florida, and there was a judge who was convicted of trying to murder his opponent's wife, and he ended up being the roommate of Mr. Gideon in prison. So it is rumored that he kind of helped him with the petition to the Supreme Court. And he was aware of a previous decision that had been passed, that had been ruled upon by the United States Supreme Court, that said that giving attorneys to those who could not afford it could not be transferred to the states. And so he filed the appeal, the Supreme Court heard it and had a chance to expand on the Betts case. And as a result, he was successful and it changed who was represented in this country. You've already said a lot about the office, but I have to first and foremost say thank you to the men and women who work in the Dallas County Public Defender's Office. This is not easy work. I tell young lawyers that come here that this is not for the faint of heart. It's not for everybody. Doesn't mean you're not smart, doesn't mean you're not a good lawyer, but there's a lot of stress that comes along with representing the folk that we have in the system. As a result, a large number of individuals who are lawyers across the board, the ABA kind of estimates that anywhere from 25 to 40% of lawyers suffer from depression, have thoughts of suicide, suffer from drug abuse and alcohol abuse. A story for our office, we have had 4 attorneys with our office who, after leaving our office and going to work in either private practice or in another public defender's office, committed suicide. One recently who had just left our office. So we recognize how stressful this is, but through it all, they work hard. I'd just like for each of them to say who they are. These are our frontline supervisors here. There's Mr. Blocker.
Good morning, County Judge, Commissioners. Paul Blocker, First Assistant Chief Public Defender.
Good morning, Vicki Rice, Special Programs Division Chief.
Good morning, Theo Pugh, Chief of the Misdemeanor Division.
Good morning, I'm Michaela Hines. I'm Vicki's deputy in the Special Programs Division.
Good morning, Marshall Berry, Deputy Chief of the Misdemeanor Division.
Good morning, Roger Smontz, Assistant Chief for the Investigation Unit.
Before I end, I want to say that we work collaboratively as a team. And I can't just give credit to the lawyers in the office. We have investigators, we have social workers, we have mental health case managers. Because of their hard work, we have had cases dismissed, cases no-billed, people set up with services, getting them services so they don't keep coming back and forth in the system, but we work as a team. We believe in the approaches of utilizing public defenders and the private bar in representing the indigent in Dallas County. It is a monumental task. When I first started, there were maybe 6 public defender offices in the entire state. But I have to thank Commissioner Price for his vision. We always say we're the second oldest public defender's office, but in actuality, the first office was in Travis County. It was a juvenile division, and they were funded through a grant, not through the Commissioner's Court. So it was this Commissioner's Court with the leadership and the initiative of Commissioner Price that started this office, and to this day, we continue to be the largest, most diverse office in the entire state. At the end of the day, it's all about the client. You know, the belief that everybody is entitled to effective legal representation, and it doesn't matter whether you have money or you don't money. Everybody should be treated equally and fairly. So thank you again for your continued support. I'd like to thank my immediate supervisor, Mr. Darryl Martin here, who has also been very instrumental and supportive, Gordon Heichel, who works with the criminal courts, and I will say I've learned a lot from them in terms of management. Commissioner Price likes to talk about management and leadership, because we know that although for our purposes, our #1 responsibility is to effectively represent our clients, we know that we have to be good stewards of the taxpayer dollars. So thank you again.
Ms. Richardson, let me kind of add on. At the end of the day, it's nothing like leadership and being able to assemble the cast to carry out the mission. My colleagues and I, we hear cases across this county. And whether they're elected or appointed, you know, leadership isn't always given. And it makes a difference. People want to come work. What most people don't realize is that when we created the office, you could come straight out of college and go to work for the state, the district attorney's office, any office in the state. You could go to work. In the public defender's office, you had to have experience, correct?
Correct.
Couldn't come straight out of school. And so at least they put the framework in place and said, look, we're not just throwing newbies at these potential serious cases. And I've been here when we've asked some public defenders to, directors to not return to work because they weren't taking the office to where this court and other courts have said it needed to be. I just want to thank you for your leadership, because apparently you've created the kind of office that people want to come to work for. I've watched you and your office, as you just talked about one individual committing suicide. I've watched you with care, your office, go over and beyond, looking at each and every individual attorney, realize what they were up against. And as I said in a recent broadcast, I've watched that office, and it's been cost effective. I want the citizens of Dallas County to understand that auditor over there writes a check for about almost $12 million for court-appointed attorneys, and we have nothing to say. We don't know how many times they see their clients or anything else, and we don't know anything about their outcome. But one capital case in Dallas County, one, will spend twice as much money as you spend on your entire capital division. And we're not going to even talk about the kind of outcomes and results. And so I just want to thank you and this team. I've seen them go over and beyond, and I've said before, on weekends, they keep talking about the specials division, but Ms. Rice and Michaela and folks like that, they're looking for beds for mental health patients. Just thank y'all for caring over and beyond. It's not 8 to 5. It's not 8 to 8. It's you signed on. And I just want to thank all of you, supervisors and all. It is a real challenge. When we get calls in our office, they say, I got a public defender. Well, we call because it didn't sound like the MO on a public defender. And sure enough, it's not a public defender. But what I appreciate about, while all the courts don't utilize you at the same equity, even if there's a case or somebody else, I think there's a lawyer around town does an advertising, says they drop the ball. When other people drop the ball who are appointed or who are compensated and decide they're not going to go any further, you guys pick it up. And so I just want to say thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Then I just want to echo Commissioner Price's comments to all of you that make a difference in Dallas County. It's like you say, Ms. Richardson, it's about justice for all. It's about that every single person has the opportunity to go to court and receive the best justice because they have a lawyer. And I seen exactly what the resolution said. I mean, when I got elected, the public defender's office was a small office, and then again, you were the face everywhere, and then again, you have always participated with the Criminal Justice Advisory Board. You have been instrumental in, everything that comes out from this county that, are ready to, be in the front lines when it comes to criminal justice, the criminal justice system reform, which we all have talked so many times about the need of changes. And I've seen also more Latinos in the public defender's office, because if we're going to talk about all, we're talking about 45% of the population in Dallas County. So I want to thank you all for the work you do, and Ms. Richardson, adelante. I mean, we're very proud of what your office does and the public defender's office in Dallas County. Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you, Commissioner.
I wanted to add to this last bit here too, that yes, we can set up the framework. But it's when you come to work and you do the job at the level at which you do it, that's where the rubber meets the road, and that's, you take that ball and you run with it, and you do provide that justice for all at a very, very high level. And that's what makes me feel good about being able to work together and set up the system. But still, we rely on so many, many people to actually provide the service, provide the representation, provide the forethought and the intelligence to do a good job. So thank you so much, and you definitely make me proud to be able to sit here and know that we're working together for an incredibly good system. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thanks for y'all's great work.
Thank you.
There you go.
Yeah.
Michaela, thank you.
Both Ms. Rice to get there.
Thank you, Ms. Rice.
Thank you.
Thank you. They did that dissertation so that they'd hope I wasn't going to have no voice for the rest of the court, but I got second wind. I'm okay. after, yeah. Well, the judge has that March employee of the month. No, it is 9:30. Yes, it is. And Judge, this is where we have the Dallas County HOME-ARP allocation plan. It has been posted, notice has been given, and I'm sure do a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any unread?
In favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, who's gonna take us through that public hearing?
The discussion publican, Mr. Tamayo.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Dallas County participates, as you know, in the Community Development Block Grant Program through the Department of Housing and Urban Development, otherwise known as HUD. As such, we're eligible to receive a one-time allocation from HUD's Home Investment Partnership American Rescue Plan Program. That's a mouthful. Yes, sir.
For the record, just I'm sorry. Give your name and your position. I'm sorry.
Absolutely. I'm sorry, sir. Luis Tamayo, I'm the director of Dallas County's Planning and Development Office. So we're able to receive HOME-ARP funds. It's a one-time amount in the amount of $2,738,369. And the HOME-ARP program aims to address the needs for homelessness assistance and supportive services. These services are proposed as rental assistance, case management, housing search, and counseling. We have not received any public comments as of yet. If we do receive any, we'll bring those back to the court.
And it closes, and the public comment closes
Tomorrow, sir.
tomorrow. Okay.
All right, are there any public speakers? Are there any public speakers? Are there any public speakers? Hearing none, I'll take a motion to close the.
So moved.
Second.
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
So that the record will be, please, Judge, I do want to, again, not only thank Planning and Development, Mr. Tamayo, but Dallas County has been extremely frugal and with regards to funds regarding those individuals that we call unsheltered. And I think it's appropriate that, this grant be given, but we've also been frugal and with regards to our ARP funding with those 50 nonprofits, the lion's share of them receive funding for this same category. And so I would think HUD would take that into consideration, that Dallas County has demonstrated frugalness in terms of taking care of a population that still clamors for more assistance. And so I just wanted to put that in the record, Judge. Thank you.
Right, our next resolution may be mine.
It is.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, no, that'll be presented next month along with the April employees of the month. So next is Commissioner Daniel.
Well, good morning. And thank you very much. First up is Parkland and Managed Care Organizations, and I think that we do have some people here who would like to come up. Okay. Whereas many Texas residents have elected to tax themselves to support hospital districts. And whereas Texas hospital districts provide health care to those in need, regardless of income level. As such, these districts are seen as safety nets for those who are indigent and sometimes the most vulnerable. And whereas many hospital districts and public hospitals created health plans to help members of their communities access quality healthcare services when the state went to a Medicaid managed care model. Whereas these Medicaid managed care organizations focus on reducing costs while keeping quality of care high. And whereas now these Texas MCOs are under attack by national for-profit entities seeking to increase their market share. And whereas hospital districts' revenue primarily comes from local tax levies, Medicaid supplemental hospital payments, and patient revenue. And whereas reduced funds in any of these categories could reduce the amount of money hospital districts and public hospitals have available to draw down federal funds used to provide care locally and across Texas, which would have a devastating impact on patient access and care. Whereas passing legislation negatively affecting hospital district MCOs could disrupt Medicaid members' choice of providers and access to health care for all low-income Texans. Now therefore be it resolved that the County of Dallas Commissioners Court opposes any effort that would jeopardize the operation of Texas hospital district MCOs and thereby further diminish funding for Texas hospital districts and public hospitals. And I so move.
Second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
I'm Edna Rhonda with Parkland's Government Relations Team, and we wanted at Parkland to thank you, Commissioners, for your support, your ongoing support and engagement on this particular issue. It's currently being debated in the Texas legislature as we speak. And also we want to thank Charles and Rebecca for their efforts on the ground in Austin with this issue.
Thank you, Ms.
And
Rhonda.
thank you, Parkland, for being there and doing the hard work. So it's that so-called teamwork that makes a difference. So thank you very much to all of you and all of your colleagues.
Parkland, as part of the medical district complex, has been a leader. I see some members of, other entities like UT Southwestern, Children's, as well as some of your new partners. So I think that Parkland has, ride the course with leadership, working well with everyone. I just had the opportunity to brief the medical district committee 2 weeks ago with Alberta Blair and Public Works. And it's amazing. It's amazing to see what we have done in an elapse of 10 years within the medical district drive. And it couldn't happen without the leadership of all of you that work very hard, to be sure that every single project moves forward. And it's now, I will dare to say, it's probably one of the best medical, districts in the whole state of Texas. So congratulations.
And I'm not going to go that far, but that thud you heard back over at Parkland, that was Dr. Cerise probably hitting the floor that I second. But, Parkland has a lot of good things going for it. I'm not going to ever take that away. And but I still got my challenges, and I'm going to continue to challenge you. Okay.
You're very nice today, Commissioner.
No,
Price.
I'm warming up.
Yesterday.
I'm warming up.
Right? I mean,
I'm warming up.
Thank you, Ms. Rhonda. We appreciate you.
No, we all pay attention. There's no doubt about that. But it is the teamwork and it's the efforts of a lot of people that make it work. So thank you very much, and thank you, Commissioner Price, for the second. Okay, National Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month is upon us, and I think that there are some people here from UT Southwestern because this is also, again, one of those areas that it takes a lot of people working together at. This is particularly personal to me in the respect that my brother-in-law died of colorectal cancer. It's now been 13 years ago. But it's the way it is sometimes too. So we just move on and work at public awareness. Because March is National Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month, where patients, survivors, healthcare workers, and caregivers show their support by wearing blue ribbons and participating in many community events and outreach programs to help increase awareness and promote screening options. And whereas in 2018, the American Cancer Society indicated that only about 67% of adults of screening age are up to date on their colon cancer screening. With the understanding that early detection of colorectal cancer has proven to be an effective lifesaver, the dedicated physicians and staff of the Parkland Primary Care Service have successfully increased the colorectal screening of established patients seen in their service to 76%. And whereas if the cancer is diagnosed at a localized stage, the survival rate is 91%. If the cancer has spread to surrounding tissues or organs and or the regional lymph nodes, the 5-year survival rate is 72%. If colon cancer has spread to distant parts of the body, the 5-year survival rate is 14%. Whereas racial disparities exist predominantly in the African American community, African Americans are 20% more likely to get colorectal cancer and 33% more likely to die from colorectal cancer than other ethnic groups. Access to health care is only one of the many factors that contribute to the disparity. And whereas the American Cancer Society estimates that 105,970 new cases of colon cancer and almost 46,050 new cases of rectal cancer will be diagnosed in 2023. According to the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention, more than 52,000 people will die from it in 2023. For years, the recommendation was for adults at average risk for colon cancer to start screening at age 50. But the American Cancer Society's guidelines have changed. Now adults at average risk should start screening at age 45. Colorectal cancer is the third most common cancer for men and women in the United States, affecting people at any age, of any racial and ethnic group. Now therefore be it resolved that the Dallas County Commissioners Court joins in the designation of March 2023 as National Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month and urges all citizens of Dallas County to recognize the importance of colorectal cancer screenings in fighting this deadly disease. And I so move.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
And we have with us people who work at this day in, day out from UT Southwestern. So,
thank you. I'm Ruben Esquivel, Vice President for Community and Corporate Relations at UT Southwestern Medical Center. With me is Amy Israel. She is the Assistant Director for Community Outreach, Engagement, and Equity. On behalf of the scientists, the doctors, the faculty, and the caregivers that address day in and day out this disease, we express our thanks. Thank you, Dr. Daniel, for presenting the resolution. Thank you, County Judge Jenkins and County Commissioners Sommerman, John Wiley Price, and Dr. Elba Garcia for your support. We appreciate this recognition, but we don't do it to be recognized. We do it because, like in your family, we all have family members that have been touched by this illness. Let me turn it over to Amy now for a few closing words.
Good morning, Commissioners, County Judge. We extend our gratitude to you for the resolution on this disease. On behalf of my colleagues who treat patients every day with colorectal cancer diagnosed across the stages, we recognize that though colorectal cancer has declined in incidence for people who are over 50 years old, there is one demographic where there is an increase, and that is our young people who are younger than 50 years of age. At UT Southwestern, we are approaching the problem from a multidisciplinary approach. Our physicians, scientists, surgeons, and public health investigators are collaborating to understand the epidemiology and the cause to be able to provide interventions and cure. In March, as Commissioner Daniel said, National Colorectal Cancer Month, we urge all to obtain colorectal cancer screenings and to see your primary care physician if symptoms develop prior to the standard screening age of 45 years. Thank you very much for recognizing this month.
And thank you for all that you do.
I want to thank you for finally finding out where South Dallas is, south of 30. Medical school's been around since 1943. And last year, you made your first indelible footprint south of I-30. And because you did, Parkland was already there, C.V. Roman. Children's is coming south of I-30. And I still don't think people realize this whole issue of access, because most of us, have access. We have automobiles, transit is not an issue. And as I will continue to put forward, as we have a hearing coming up on bus transit in this community, 40% of my district is still transportation deprived. Depend on buses, not trains, but buses. And so I thank you for realizing that access is one of the real disparities. So whether you're talking about food, medical, you name it, it's access. And I'm glad you're finally there.
Well, and not only that, Commissioner Press, because you are correct. Access has always been an issue, right? But when they were not in the community, when they have to move all over to get the basic, education, UT Southwestern, working with Parkland, working, develop CHNI. I know, Commissioner, that you've been here fighting for this fight, of equity, inclusion, and access for healthcare, in Dallas County, 2.6 million people. And it couldn't happen until, now the numbers are there. The zip codes are there. We know where there are, we need to focus our delivery of services. We know which zip codes are going to give you more lifetime, and if you get the access, that you need. And that's what's happening. The last 5 years, we're starting to see that change, that some of us that have been working in public service for many years had to fight it every single time we had. And now, I am very pleased to say that working together, we're going to change, the health outcomes that have been seen. It's not going to be fast, but we're starting to see those changes being in the communities that we need to be. So thank you again, Mr. Esquivel. I appreciate your leadership at so many levels. You've been there in that fight with us for more than 25 years. And we appreciate you, sir. Thank you for being here today. Commissioner Daniels, thank you so much for the resolution, right on point.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for both.
What you do day in, day out makes a difference.
Thank you. Do you want a picture, Mr. Esquivel? Thank you.
Thank you. Good to see you.
County work is usually very serious work, but occasionally we get to join in the happy times. And this is Miss Rhonda Burks is retiring.
Burks.
And we're kind of sad, but it's a happy occasion. And whereas the Dallas County Commissioners Court wishes to congratulate Rhonda Burks on her retirement from the Dallas County District Clerk's Office and for her 26 years of conscientious service. And whereas Rhonda Burks was born July 5th, 1969, at Baylor University Medical Center in Dallas to Emmett and Linda Freer. And whereas Ms. Burks started with Dallas County on March 18th, 1996 in the probate division, she moved to the Civil Process Department just a few months later, passing her typing test to begin working in the courts. She began working with Judge Charles Stokes as a second clerk. And whereas in April 2004, Ms. Burks moved over to the district clerk's office, where she worked as a second clerk in the 134th District Court with Judge Ann Aspey. She has been a second clerk, lead clerk, and floater throughout her years at the district clerk's offices. And whereas Ms. Burks was a court administrator for a brief period for the 134th Civil District Court from April 2009 to December 2009, Judge Ann Ashby was the presiding judge of the 134th until her retirement. The governor then appointed James M. Stanton to fulfill the vacant judge's seat for the 134th until December 2009. And whereas Ms. Burks met her first love, Bill Burke, in 1982, guided other plans for them, so they went their separate ways until 1984. Through the magic of social media, William found Miss Burks on Facebook in 2012. They started talking again, got engaged, and eventually married in 2013. They had an amazing 7.5 years of marriage until his passing on January 24th, 2021. Miss Burks has one daughter, Amanda Amato, and two precious grandsons, Gabriel, who is 8, and Angel, who is 7. Whereas after retirement, Rhonda Burks is planning to spend quality time with her parents, whom she takes care of and lives with. She will also be taking a trip to Israel with her church in February 2024. She's never been to Israel and is looking forward to this amazing trip. And whereas Rhonda Burks has had an amazing career here at Dallas County, she is thankful for the opportunity to work for Dallas County, but is looking forward to the new chapter in her life. Now therefore be it resolved, the Dallas County Commissioners Court does hereby recognize and extend sincere appreciation to Rhonda for 26 years of professional service, and further expresses best wishes for a long, happy, and fulfilling retirement. And I so move.
Thank you, Commissioners, very much.
Thank you. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
And you brought a few people with you to share in this happy moment.
Yes, I did.
So would you like to say a few words?
Commissioner Daniels, Judge, other commissioners, we're going to miss Rhonda. Rhonda has been a faithful public servant. Rhonda came to work every day.
Who are you?
Always on time.
Who are you?
I am Felicia Petrie, District Clerk for Dallas County.
Oh, okay.
We're going to miss Rhonda's presence. Her family here supports her, have supported her throughout. When she lost her husband, her family surrounded her in support. And we will continue to be her family, even in her retirement. So we wish her well. We're going to miss her. And if you want to come back, we'll take you back. This is the Civil Division. Rhonda worked in the civil courts for a number of years, has always been a leader, a trainer. She's taught a lot of people, and we're certainly going to miss her. So we wish her well. Thank you for the resolution, Commissioner.
And she's got a big smile on her face too, so you know that she's got some plans.
I know. I said,
Yes,
Rhonda,
ma'am.
really? She's like, so we thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Rhonda.
Thank you. And would you like a photo?
Sure.
Thank you.
Burks.
And lastly, Transgender Day of Visibility will be upon us soon, so I wanted to talk a moment about this. Whereas Dallas County remains committed to ensuring that all constituents are free from discrimination and harassment of any form. Dallas County recognizes the significant contributions made by transgender people and affirms that they are vital members of our community. And whereas on March 31st, the world observes Transgender Day of Visibility to raise awareness of issues impacting transgender, gender nonconforming, gender expansive, and non-binary people, and to honor their communities for their resilience, activism, and countless contributions to society. And whereas President Joe Biden remarked in his 2022 proclamation, visibility matters. And so many transgender, non-binary, and gender non-conforming Americans are thriving. Like never before, they are sharing their stories in books and magazines, breaking glass ceilings of representation on television and movie screens, enlisting once again to serve proudly and openly in our military, getting elected and making policy at every level of government, running businesses, curing diseases, and serving our communities in countless other ways. And whereas transgender people continue to face high levels of discrimination, stigma, and bias that often fuels violence and abuse against their community, over 100 bills have been filed in the 88th Texas legislature against the transgender community, including a resolution condemning major U.S. medical associations, including the American Academy of Pediatrics, the American Medical Association, and the Children's Hospital Association for their support of gender-affirming care, and a bill that requires schools to disclose student records for students seeking mental health or well-being support from school staff. And whereas members of the transgender community who contribute to the growing diversity and prosperity of Dallas County and our transgender communities include family members, friends, co-workers, colleagues, business owners, volunteers, and neighbors who seek the same rights, equality, and understanding that each of us deserves. On this day, we join to celebrate and stand with the many transgender people of our area in support of their free and full expression. So now therefore be it resolved that Dallas County Commissioners Court is hereby proclaimed March 31st, 2023 as Transgender Day of Visibility. And on this day and every day, we recognize the resilience, strength, and joy of transgender, non-binary, and gender expansive people. We celebrate the activism and determination that have fueled the fight for transgender equality in Dallas County and in unity with communities across the world. And I so move.
And I second.
Second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
And thank you. And did you want to say a few words?
Yes, thank you. I'm Callie Butcher. I'm the president of the Dallas LGBT Bar and a proud trans woman. And I just want to thank Commissioners, Judge, for recognizing this day. Often our community is subject to violence and hate and demonization. But this day is really about celebrating all the things we do for the world in this community that are positive. And so we just want to thank you for celebrating with us. I know that myself and the many members of our community who are currently, feeling a lot of hate from this state and feeling like we are outcasts and not welcome here. This is very impactful, and we really appreciate it. So thank you.
Well, I certainly didn't prepare anything. My name is Rachel Gonzalez. I'm the parent of a transgender youth, Libby, who is almost 13, and I'm tearing up standing here because we just came from the Capitol yesterday, and there's actually now 140 anti-LGBTQ bills that have been filed in the state of Texas, and we have quite an uphill battle. And I continuously remind people that we don't have this battle in Dallas. We have supporters like you. We have her friends, our neighbors, our community, and they all love and support her and see her. And I can't wait to pick her up from school today and tell her that the city of Dallas is recognizing Transgender Day of Visibility and sees her and appreciates her for exactly who she is.
And the county.
Yes, the county. Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone?
Miss Susie?
Susie,
Hi, my name is Susie Hess, and I'm married to a transgender woman. She came out shortly after our 25th wedding anniversary, and to me, it just demonstrates that you love who you love, right? I fell in love with the same soul that I'm still married to today, and I'm honoring our marriage vows by continuing in that relationship and taking a much stronger position on advocacy for the LGBTQ community than I already did on behalf of other family members. So I think it's so critically important, and I'm so grateful to the County of Dallas for your leadership in this, recognizing and celebrating the transgender community. Thank you.
Well, thank you for all your efforts to make sure that all people, everybody, have the same rights and respect.
And ma'am, when you pick up your child today, would you tell her from us that we recognize that she and others, everyone in this community makes it stronger, and we're so glad that she's a part of this community. And tell her Judge Jenkins says she has a great mom for advocating for her child.
That part.
And
Yeah,
thank
please
you.
remind her of that.
And thank you for being there. I know it's not easy, to be in the front lines of any fight. And you have done it, and you have done it for many years now. And, you know, like the judge just said, and Commissioner Daniels, you have our support. Thank you.
You're beautiful. Thanks for coming. And you gave a fabulous presentation on Saturday. It was very needed but appreciated. Thanks. Okay, I yield. We can go on with the rest of our business.
All right, that takes us to our presentations. And the only presentations today, I believe, are from Commissioner Price, as Dr. Wong and I are not presenting on COVID, thank God. So,
Well, the fact that we're still counting in ones, I notice, let's continue on this whole Monkey Mugs Chronicle. Sometimes I know it's difficult for me to get excited about a lot of things that goes on, because at the end of the day, and I don't care whether it's Twitter or, in this country, it's still about race. And I'm just amazed that reading a new book, and Judge precipitated this the last time, and I know people try to be in best. It's a new book by Robin DiAngelo. It's called Nice Racism. It's how progressive white people perpetuate racial harm. It's been real interesting. She is the same author, by the way, and I read it.
That wrote the book.
White Fragility,
right,
that
yes.
I gave you.
Yes.
She's written one called Nice Racism. And I guess people are well-meaning. It was like Judge last court session talking about black blood. And I don't think he didn't mean it, but neither did the Tuskegee experiment when they were talking about, black blood. And he was talking about a relationship between he and an individual. And I'm going down the Monkey Mug Chronicles deal. Meant well. But I tell people all the time, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And when I talked about Parkland a few minutes ago,
I do want to interject something every second. I have extremely broad latitude for anyone to say anything that they want to, but my friend is facing a potentially terminal illness, and we're in the process of trying to find people to donate blood for him. Those donors have to be African American because otherwise there won't be a match. So please don't use my friend's illness as an attempt to say something. You feel free to call me any names you want to, but please leave his illness out of it.
I don't know your friend. I'm using what you said before this court and went out into the hitherlands with regards to black blood. And Judge, while even the Kidney Foundation had to set the record straight, but apparently you need to go back and listen to what you said. And some of us get offended, under the guise of supposedly people wanting to be nice. It doesn't make it any less offensive.
I'm not trying to be nice. I'm trying to help my friend find a match.
And go back and listen to what you said on the tape. And so that's where I'm coming from. It's just like this. I'm sure she was trying to be nice, but she got a promotion, and that's the reason 2 years later you still have me talking about it, because at the end of the day, it's just like Robin says, it's nice racism. I didn't write the book. I just read the writing. And so the Monkey Mug Chronicles for this day is talking about something that we see in this country every day and don't say anything about it. And this court can be well-intended, but I still say you have not sent the message to Parkland that they have promoted a woman who began this. I didn't start this. She did. And I got complaints. The Louisville, Kentucky Police Department doesn't monkey around with racism. They are professionals at racism, discrimination, and terrorism of blacks. I'm not hallucinating. I didn't say that of my own volition. I just summarized what the U.S. Justice Department found after an intense 2-year investigation. Here's how Rutger News, the conglomerate, phrased it. The Louisville, Kentucky police force routinely discriminates against black residents, uses excessive force, conducts illegal searches, and they said this on Wednesday, the U.S. Department of Justice. They following a probe that prompted by Breonna Taylor's killing in 2020. I don't even know what to say today. To know that this thing should never have happened, and it took 3 years for anybody else to say it shouldn't have happened. That's what Taylor's mother, Tamika Palmer, said in a news conference. The investigation found the police department used aggressive tactics selecting against black people who comprise roughly 1 in 4 Louisville patrons, a quarter of Louisville, as well as other vulnerable people such as those with behavioral health challenges. Police cited people for minor offenses like wide turns and broken tail lights, while serious crimes like sexual assault and homicide went unsolved. The probe found that adding minor offenses was used as a pretext to investigate unrelated criminal activity. Some Louisville police officers even filmed themselves insulting people with disabilities and describing black people as monkeys, the Justice Department said. It also found that officers quickly resorted to violence. The blood of innocent men and women have been shed unjustly under the color of law. Now I know that my colleague, Judge Clay Jenkins, can't do anything about that bloodshed that occurs in Louisville, but I cannot fault him or this court for that. However, we have allowed racism to persist in the professional ranks of Parkland Hospital. It's not too far-fetched to believe that needless blood will be lost there because of racism, both covert and overt. Black women are 4 times more likely to die than white women in childbirth. Blacks and browns who frequent Parkland live across I-30 south with me and die 23 years earlier than their counterpart just across the highway. Blacks are routinely misdiagnosed and mistreated by a health system that they have the least access to. The mindset that allows a senior officer to give monkey mugs to her black employees is a critical mistake. She and other professionals are just a badge and a gun away from the same result we saw in Louisville. Black people in America know that it can go from monkey to misuse in no time. We can't afford to monkey around with racism in Parkland. And it continues, and we must call it every time we see it. The judicial performance at Frank Crowley is basically where it was. So I will continue to monitor, as we all will, and we look at the numbers. And Mr. Reed, I did look at those numbers, and they're not too different, but I do want to use this opportunity to say that while we talk about Frank Crowley, that has nothing to do with certain bills that are being created in the legislature, except maybe for against what they call rogue DAs. Frank Crowley is about management. Frank Crowley should be about management. It is about management of the courts and those individuals who are in the courts. It's not about having issues with what cases are prosecuted or not prosecuted. It is the state of Texas that says that we only have 70, we're authorized for 7,100 beds. It is the state of Texas that gives us a classification system that we use at Crowley, maximum, medium. It is the state of Texas. It is the national government that gives us the PREA. But the courts, while we expect them to perform, we don't expect this legislature to continue to dicker with district attorneys who have the best interest of the citizens and the management of law enforcement in his purview. We will be, no, that's not at Frank Crowley, so I'll leave him alone. Election centers, it's coming up, but I think the elections department has adjusted according to my staff and have included all of those. Doctor, good to see you. Thank you. Member of the Citizens Election Advisory Council for the cities who are paying for this election, and I saw Joppa. I'll get it in a minute. Yeah, I got it. We did visit that site, and it has access, and the election judge is here. She is very aware of the concerns under ADA, and she's made that site work for all these many years. How many years you been a judge? 31 years. She's made it work. But all of a sudden, you know, we supposedly have some concerns, but it is on the list today. And it's my understanding that on the list today is also Frank Crowley, which I'll let the numbers speak for themselves. But I just wanted y'all to understand you did show up, but that has been added. Mr. Scarpello and his staff did add all of those concerns, Doctor and Claudia, Ms. Fowler, sorry. I get a senior moment because I'm trying to regulate best I can. But it's all been re-added, so that's the only reason I put it on here, because I wanted to discuss it, and staff went in and did the walkthrough. So they're here. Tax for office closures, not an issue for me. Judge, with that being said, yes, I yield.
Thank you, Commissioner. A moment of privilege. 2 weeks ago, we recognized Down Syndrome Awareness Day. There was a very nice story about the need of support services for families with kids with Down syndrome. And I just want to remind everybody that the Grand Prairie Host Family Branch Club is having their awareness recognition today. As we read 2 weeks ago when we provided the resolution, it's going to be at the Playground Adventures located at 2985 Epic Place in Grand Prairie. And, you know, I want to thank all of the people that make possible this kind of events, you know, to create awareness for all those families that need it. Don't forget to wear your colorful socks. Commissioner Price promised he will wear socks.
Is that one for me? I went to.
But I'm thinking that they're probably too small.
Oh, they're too small. Okay.
You know, I want you to know.
I want you to know. We went searching for socks. You know, hell, I ain't bought no socks in 30 years. I didn't know. I was at 7-Eleven. They don't have socks.
Do not worry. I will go to your favorite place. I'll
Okay.
find you a
pair of socks.
colorful
Okay.
socks.
Okay.
Thank you so much to all of you.
I'm just telling you.
It's only for a picture. We will not torture Commissioner Price, even if we wanted to.
Yeah.
You know, so will be nice.
Thank you. Thank you to staff who
Commissioner. I
went out
appreciate
to
it.
those places looking for socks.
Believe it or not, I mean, the people that received the resolution felt so special, Commissioner, because you say you will wear socks.
Before the days
so
over.
I
I'll
hope
have
they
some
don't
socks.
ask me for that picture because I'm not going to be able to.
I will have some socks for today's off.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, colleagues. I appreciate your help and support on this. Thank you, Judge. That's it.
Thank you. All right. Next is our consent agenda. Is there a motion on the consent agenda? Is there any desire to separate it?
No, so move.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Is there a motion on the bids?
I'll move the bids.
Second.
There were some items that were pulled, right, Judge?
On the bids?
No, I mean in
Oh,
the
no,
general
no.
agenda.
I pulled 60. I'm gonna pull 60.
And staff pulled 61, right? Judge, you want to put that into the record?
We hadn't gotten to those yet.
We're not
still
at those yet.
yeah,
We're
Right.
on the bids right now.
Sounds good. We'll go through bids.
And even though I moved these bids, Mr. Frost, we've had discussion. See a lot again. I'm seeing all of these buy boards and what I call co-op buys.
Co-ops, yeah. And there were some that were one-time companies, installations that we have to go with the same vendor. But thank you, Mr. Frost. I appreciate it. I'll second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. There are no RFPs today, and this takes us to quarters L1 through 66.
Judge, before you do that, I did want to point out, I know we've been doing this, but my staff worked it up, of the bids that we did do today, 91% of the primes were white males. They don't represent 91% of this county or of the industry. 8% were white females. So in primes, 99% were white. And we have policy, and I get it. That's the reason I brought up that again, that whole, buy board and some other issues. But I just find it interesting in the spin that we're doing, which is definitely over, millions of dollars, but for the fact that we've got some subs on some other thing, people of color don't even come in. Anyway, I'm pulling 60, Judge, and pulling 22 for discussion.
And
20 for 2 weeks. 60 for 2 weeks.
Staff has pulled 61 at the request of the DA. All right, is there a motion on that?
Judge, if I may, I have a correction to read it on number 65, which is the ADP item for payroll for election day. The contract that was attached with ADP indicates it's a 5-year contract. Clearly, this is a 1-year contract, as I stated in the subject. And ADP's legal team provided a written notice that they're going to modify that, but didn't get it done in time because we wanted to get it on the addendum. So I want to read in the record that this is going to be a 1-year contract, as it's stated in our subject. And although the attachment says it's a 5-year contract, because it was a 5-year contract that there was awarded under that cooperative, right? So it's modified, and I want to thank Mr. Palumbo for pointing that out to me. So we want to make sure we're clear that this is a 1-year contract with the right to terminate with 90-day notice for payroll, election day payroll at the request of Mr. Scarpello.
Thank you. Okay, so where we were? You're pulling
with those
Commissioner
pulls-
Price 60 for 2 weeks.
Right, 60 for 2 weeks. And y'all may have a better understanding that, and Dr. Watson, but I need some more explanation with that,
Okay.
please. And 22 is strictly for discussion. Or at least I think so.
All right, any further discussion before we vote on these?
You do have a speaker also for the election center, so
Right.
you might want to pull that one.
All right, well, let's hear from the speaker then, since it's not pulled. Will the bailiff please read the rules of the quorum for our public speaker?
All Commissioner Court attendees are hereby advised that this meeting is conducted in accordance with the provisions of the Dallas County Code, Section 74-71. Visitors and registered speakers are preserved order and decorum at all times. Personal, profane, or slanderous remarks are not appropriate and will not be allowed any time during this public meeting. Any and all applause is to be kept brief and observant of time constraint. Disruptive visitors and or registered speakers may be removed and are subject to the penalties provided in the State of Texas Penal Code, Sections 38.13, 42.01, and 42.05. Registered individual speakers are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes. Thank you.
Judge, you do have one speaker signed up. I understand there are other speakers here, and you have to give approval, unanimous approval from the court for the other speakers.
Oh, wait, they're saying they're just standing with a person. Okay, so there's only one speaker.
That would be me.
There's two speakers. Okay, well, it doesn't matter to me, and I'm happy to hear from everybody. Is any objection? If it's not unanimous?
No objection.
Okay. No objections, anybody? Hearing none, we'll hear from both speakers. And make sure to state your name and your address when you begin to speak. You'll see a little clock up there when it gets to 0, just finish your sentence if you would. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Carol Farquhar, 4043 Throckmorton Street, Dallas, 75219. I speak as a representative of the League of Women Voters of Dallas on the Vote Center Advisory Committee. Our president asked me to speak on behalf of the League today because she's already spoken to the court once this month. And I'm speaking in reference to the agenda item of election centers. The League strongly supports increased efforts to publicize locations of polling places in advance of elections. Change happens, but it doesn't have to be hard. Getting the word out to everyone who wants to vote about where they may vote is essential. We can leverage the progress made during the November 2022 election by continuing the Vote Anywhere campaign, working with DART to get messages in their vehicles, through our League's voter guide, and by VCAC members and the Dallas Votes Coalition talking to their communities about how Dallas County is helping voters identify polling locations. The League supports the work accomplished to date and looks forward to our next phase of work when we evaluate additional locations for high turnout elections. We look forward to additional data to help us fill holes across a broad range of neighborhood types to encourage voting in all types of communities, and would appreciate this court's determination of what will constitute a high turnout election and a low turnout election. Where vote centers are located is a highly sensitive topic. We must ensure that locations do not result in dilution of voting strength or dilute representation of any group covered by the Federal Voting Rights Act, and that voting locations do not of themselves discourage voting. We must ensure there is access to voting. Michael Scarpello and his team are to be commended for using voting data, evidence-based assessment of facilities, and for seeking out community input through the VCAC. The list that you have before you today was prioritized primarily in terms of voter turnout in low turnout elections, where registered voters lived, the physical assessment of each vote center location, and many hours of community input through the VCAC. We are grateful that so many of the community volunteers in city and school districts were on hand to fill in gaps. In particular, we would like to commend Dr. Lavetta Lavelles for recommending keeping a voting center in Joppy, and for so many VCAC members supporting her and the Joppy community. We thank them for the work to be done to ensure that the Joppy Voting Center is accessible and ADA compliant. And thank you for your service to Dallas County.
Thank you. All right, we have another speaker. Yes.
Good morning, Judge and District Council people. My name is Linda Johnson, and I just came to say thank you for y'all not closing Gethsemane up. And I don't know if anybody knows about Gethsemane, if they come down there. I kind of got there by complete, I don't know, just Daphne Fan called me one day and said, "Do you know where Joppy is?" I said, "Yes, I do." She said, "Well, can you go over there and I need you to do some election work." Now, I started my election process at Friendship West because that's my church. When we did the presidential election, that's where I got started and interested in this whole process of voting. And I always voted, but I didn't know how important and, you know, just so many things that went with it. So when I went to Gethsemane and Miss Fowler here, she started training me on how this really works. So Gethsemane is a very small church. The neighborhood is very small, but I came from Highland Hill, Texas. That's our first suburb, that many of you don't know that. So Highland Hill and Joppy, we cousins, along with Stewart Farm, Altamesa. Y'all don't know about this because I know y'all don't know. But they are all compact together. They're 75241 and 75246. So I was thinking about this. She just called me yesterday to tell me that they'll shut us down. I was like, what? No, because we have a lot of seniors. Not only that, y'all, when the seniors come to vote, they know more than we do. I don't always know who to vote for and what to vote for, but when they come, that's when I get educated. So that's why I don't want them to close that down. And plus, they don't have a lot of places to go. They're old. They've been in their neighborhood a long time. I don't want that closed down, ever. If that's where they need to vote, that's where they need to vote. I don't know where all this stuff came about us not being compliant. Yes, we are. We have wheelchair accessibility. If we need to take the rolling, that box where you take it to the car. Curbside, we have that there. We have that at that church. Now, we don't have any problems. Actually, the church where we go to vote, where the building, where the actual room where we go, has been remodeled. There was an ice storm. It suffered some problems, but now it's back in order. So I'm just thanking whoever came to fix this situation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, County Judge Jenkins, my Commissioner John Wiley Price, still the man downtown, Dr. Elba, Dr. Daniel, and I don't know you, so you're new, Andy Summerman.
It's good to see you.
Hello, how are you?
Good to see you too.
Well, I'm Claudia Fowler. Call me Queen Joppy. And on election day, I'm Diva Judge. I want to say thank you for, Friday was a little bit challenging for me after I got the call that we needed to move and we need to do something. Joppy has been around for 151 years. We were founded in 1872 by a guy named Henry Chris Hines, who was sent here from the South for protection from the war. So we're still in existence. We had a big old birthday party last year celebrating our 150th. This year's 151st, bigger and better. So as an election judge for 31 years and still going, you know, it has been a challenge for Joppy because when Commissioner Price talked about transit things going on in our area, we don't even have a DART bus down there anymore. They took the DART buses away. We had them 44 years or whatever. We don't even have a DART bus. So if you can't pay to get them to come out or get an Uber or get a Lyft, then you just have to walk where you're going. There are people that walk to our polls on election day where I have coffee for the adults, hot chocolate for the children. I do a catering lunch. If you on your way from work and you gotta go back to work, grab some lunch and keep it moving. I do things for them in the evening time. Not only that, I educate our voters in Joppy because it's all about educating the voter. Like I tell them to be an informed voter, but I don't want to stand here and think that I am misinformed, malinformed, or disinformed, and I'm also not uninformed. I know how this could have went. Because if you close one, especially in the black community, then it's hard to get it back open. And that poll has been open since 1942-43, when Reverend Colorectal, who was our precinct chair, who died at 98 years old. What?
You're out of time.
Oh, am I? Where the time of thing? What? You know, well, you already know the history, Judge Jenkins. You know the history, Judge Commissioner Price. But I just want to say in conclusion, thank you all so much for working this all out. All right?
Thank you, Ms. Fowler.
Thank you.
Ms. Johnson.
Always good to see you.
Thank you for coming.
All right.
So,
All right. Any further discussion on any court order before we vote?
well,
Yes.
I do have some questions
No, no,
for
you.
Go
Mr.
ahead,
Scarpello. I'm sorry.
Go, Commissioner Summerman, then
Thank
I
you,
want
Mr. Scarpello, if we could. Just a couple of friendly questions, if you don't mind. One of the new centers that is going to be put in place is the Islamic Association of North Texas in my district. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Is this the first time that a mosque has been chosen for election?
We did use a mosque one time in November of this last year, but we're very glad to see that this location is now going to be put on the permanent list of locations to be used.
And I'm very proud of that we have made that effort. And it's, I felt like it was somewhat of a race, quite frankly, because I know my colleagues, Dr. Garcia and Dr. Daniel, had expressed interest in having mosques in their district. And
And we had it in the last election.
Yeah.
That's the first time.
I was throwing elbows trying to get there first. So I just wanted to say thank you.
We're all there together.
Yes, we are. And thank you so much, and I appreciate you all. Thank you.
Can I just say one thing? I just want to say thank you to the members of the Vote Center Advisory Committee. They met 8 times over a period of 2.5 months, every week, and incredible dedication and incredible feedback. And Jaffe is a perfect example of that local feedback where, you know, the statistics didn't necessarily say that we needed a location there, but that community feedback did. And so that's why it was such a great effort by everyone, and I really appreciate their time.
Well, first of all, let me just kind of, so history won't say I said here, and it's JOPPA, J-O-P-P-A, as number one. Number two, since they brought up the mosque, thank you, Dr. Leah, the levels, I'm sorry. There was an issue. I want to make sure that the public understands that the cities are paying for this election. They get a chance to decide within reason where they want to hold the election. And while there was a request to use the mosque, the city made another choice in DeSoto. I just want to be clear. The city made another choice, and I followed my staff and what the city did. And it's not Ramadan. Ramadan's tomorrow, right?
It is.
Yeah. Okay. I just want to put that clear. We're working with the community in DeSoto, probably has one of the largest mosques around, none of the newest. But I wanted to be clear. The city made the determination where they wanted to go, and I followed the city in their determination. That does not mean that come a November election, when we make the decision, that won't change. I want that to be clear for the record.
Well, and I think that we need to put into perspective the whole model. When we decided to go into voting centers, we knew change were going to come. Okay, we started with a lot of facilities, and now as we're starting to prove which facilities, and people are starting to get that they can vote anywhere in Dallas County. We're using our resources in a more effective way. I want to thank, like everybody else, the 65 members of the Vote Center Advisory Committee, including the members of the Citizens Election Advisory Committee, their chair, Eris Cedillo, representatives from many of the cities, that are in Dallas County. Everybody was invited. School districts and community groups, of whom volunteer many hours, like Mr. Scarpello said, to complete this plan. Mm-hmm. And of course, I want to thank you, Mr. Scarpello, and your team, because as you say, a lot of these meetings went past 9 o'clock, for 8 days. So, as I say before, the vote center model recommended by BCAC is, for low turnout elections, and like Commissioner Price say, those tend sadly to be municipal elections. But nevertheless, I think that the locations were all well examined, and I wanted to just put this onto the record because I know everybody wants to be sure that everyone that wants to vote in Dallas County has the location close to them to see where they can go and vote. So, the locations were examined by those who obviously are not available, because a lot of them are no longer available, proximity to other locations, ADA compliance. I was shocked to hear how many of the locations that we use for voting centers were not ADA compliant. Obviously, the ones that are not suitable for polling locations or very extreme low turnout. And considering the staffing shortages that we have during the last elections, I think this was the right thing to do. So again, I think that we follow the election code that allows to reduce some of the voting centers, and we were a lot less than what the code allows to reduce. That was, more than 50%. So a 21% reduction was logical. And again, I want to thank all the city secretaries that were part of this as well, Shane Jennings, Mona Lisa Galicia, and our chair for the Citizen Election Advisory Committee, Mr. Eric Cedillo, for his leadership, and last but not least, my colleagues and their staffs and my staff, because they were instrumental in being there and being sure that every single part of the community was listened to. JOPA is one of the examples, Commissioner Price, and hey, I will be supporting this item. Thank you, Mr. Scarpello. Thank you, Judge. Thank you, colleagues.
Well, one of the things, and you talk about shortage of staff, if you looked at the data, they had an overabundance of staff the last time. But what has happened is we've got to better communicate now with regards to the assignment of staff, when that assignment has occurred, so the communications is vastly improved with regards to that. It wasn't for the lack of having staff. They were over in terms of staff. The assignments, the communication, the days, et cetera. So that has much improved. And
oh, yes. I mean, and it was thanks to the Commissioner's Court and, the Elections Department that we were able to train a lot of our staffs in not only high schools, but here within Dallas County. So, yeah, thank you, Thank you, Commissioner Price. Good point.
I wanted to emphasize, though, too, that I appreciate the data-driven process that you have spearheaded. In addition to the data in how many people voted, where they voted, what time of the day they voted, and thus, helping to determine a better match between how many people are working elections, tie that to where they're voting. But it's also so important, and I particularly appreciated Ms. Fowler and Ms. Johnson coming to speak, because elections are data-driven, but they also have historical significance. And it's only with all of the Volunteer Election Advisory Committee, the input of all of us who have been around the block as far as elections are concerned, who have that knowledge that says, okay, that may be a little bit lower turnout in this particular location, but it's smack dab in the middle of a residential neighborhood, and because of its location, people in that neighborhood are in fact able to go vote. They know where to go vote because that's where they've been going for years. But that then encourages the continuation of hearing their voice, in addition to all the rest of us who can get there because we can drive anywhere. That is a particular point, though, that allows our busy schedules to make sure that people do vote. If you end up on the other side of town and it's 6:45, you know that you'll find a place to go vote. But it's still that combination of data and just the importance of the personal piece that voting is to everybody. So I particularly appreciate that and the efforts of all of the residents of Dallas County that shared their knowledge to make it a more meaningful process.
Hey, great job, you and your team.
Thank you, Mr. Scarpello. I have some other comments about other items. Judge, may I go?
Sure.
Okay, the first one is Court Order number 17 is the extension for the 3-year contract extension with the United Way for the approval of the jail-based housing navigators. I mean, I want to thank Charlene Randolph for her leadership and be sure that we have diverse group of people helping during this process. I mean, this involves many times manually looking up individuals who are identified or who report being on shelter based on data. So they probably handle around 300 cases right now. So, Mr. Reed, unless you want me to say anything else, I'm very happy to see this item here. Commissioner Price pulled 22, so we will discuss that one later. I'm also very happy to see the ratification and extension of the bilingual incentive pay program. I know that this was long overdue to bring it to court and probably look at the results of this program. And I talked to Mr. Wilson, and it seems like we are on track of what this was designed to help. So I'm happy to see that. The other part that I wanted to talk about is delighted to see the Bachman Lake Trail Connection, the study. This has been in the community for many years. Probably you all remember our past budget director, Mr. Ryan Brown. This has been a lot of involvement with this neighborhood and, you know, his partner, Susanna Brown. So I'm happy to be able to put everyone together with the City of Irving, Road and Bridge 4, and the Bachman Lake community and see this in our agenda. And last but not least, I wanted to talk about, and I see our DA, John Crusoe, here as well, the Dallas Deflection Center. There was a very nice article this Sunday about, you know, what we need to be sure that the center is, you know, more utilized. And well, I am glad to say that the Criminal Justice Advisory Board, in conjunction with many of the partners that we have in our committee, Charlene Randolph, Elise Lindbergh, Julie Turnbull, Jessica Gomez, Kim Nesbitt, Paul Hamilton, Lauren Black, Laura Edmonds, Daryl Martin, and Mr. Heichel, you know, help us to put a letter together that we also sent to more than 315 people in Dallas County, from city managers, police officers, chief of police officers, associations, and neighborhood groups that work together, you know, in learning about this. It's amazing how bad news travels so fast, but good news usually take a long time to be, you know, understood and received, and, you know, people to be open. I have to say that I got a lot of people responding back, oh, we didn't know about this. And I know Commissioner Price had talked about it. I know the DA has talked about it. I know that many of the groups of the criminal justice groups that I belong to, I have heard presentations about this. So it never stops, you know, amazing me how many people, you know, now know, and we hope, DA Crusoe, that we can make a difference, because you have worked really hard for this. This is one of the out-of-the-box programs that has a lot of future, and we can prove with data that is the way to go. So thank you again, and I am happy to give you the list. Yeah, I know that you have done probably the same thing already, but I wanted to thank the group of people that helped me, because I thought it was the best comprehensive letter that you can do in 1.5 pages and pretty much say pretty fast what the Deflection Center was all about and how could every single law enforcement officer can use it in Dallas County. So very happy about that, and I think that with that, the Wildlife Parkway project, that is also one of the ones that I have been working with Grand Prairie, is moving forward. It's been very challenging, but I'm glad to see it here. Thank you, Judge. Thank you, colleagues.
Judge Crusoe is here, and I don't know if you have anything, Judge, you want to add. I mean, while I heard all of that from Dr. Garcia about the deflection center, no good deed goes unpunished. And whether it's about the deflection center, or as I said earlier in my Frank Crowley's presentation about management of the jail by and through, you know, law enforcement, making sound decisions, which the state puts up on us, and then ask us to eat cake. I just want to say thank you for having the courage to continue to manage, you know, that particular part of the system. And we know now that there are some things at play, or at least in the mix, that could impair that. And I'm going to tell you, at the end of the day, it's the citizens. We can't, that jail, I continue to say, almost costing us 12 million. I think the midnight count last night was down to about almost 6,000 and something, almost 6,100. But it still cost us $12 million, almost 11 million and some change every month. And if we plugged in those criminal justice and marijuana cases, we wouldn't have enough beds. We would not have enough beds. So whether it's deflection center or those cases that the legislature seems hell-bent on saying, you know, you will try them regardless. You will file them regardless. That kind of insanity just can't work. But that's the insanity we've been dealt. And by the way, that's not the court saying it, that's me. So.
I wanted to make a comment on number 6, or I had a question about number 60. From what I understand.
60's been pulled.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I pulled 60.
So I'm glad to hear that then.
Okay, I pulled 60.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
60 and 61 were.
Yeah, but 60 was the one her
Yeah.
concern, and I understand. Okay.
Did you want to talk about 6?
Go ahead.
No.
Okay.
And I mean, we also have the approved agreement with the Old Red Museum for display of Dallas County history. I think that is, you know, it's a good idea, Mr. Martin, and thank you for your leadership in this.
Call the question, Judge.
All right, any further comments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
I'm gonna move 22, but
I'm going to second.
And first of all, I want to thank Mr. Bazan. I'm still a little miffed about the fact that, you know, we had to pull it and bring it back. I mean, I talked about earlier in the bids where this particular county is not 99% Anglo, 91% males, 8% female. But in terms of those bids we did, they got 99% of them today. And I'm going to continue to track that. But this particular, but from Mr. Zahn understanding the edict of this court, you know, we had to struggle to get to what I consider to still be participating numbers. And at some point in time, I don't know how we're going to ever get the message out. I appreciate Mr. Crawford and SBE, but we're going to have to start to monitor, and I am going to continue to monitor and make sure that they hold to what they say they're going to do. It's one thing to profess, it's another thing to perform. And when I can't trust you on your professions, even before you get to your performance, then what do you expect? Okay? So it's on you, Mr. Bazan.
Yes, sir.
And I expect staff, you know, ain't nothing worse than friendly fire. I'm gonna go back and I just want to talk about it. Ain't nothing worse than friendly fire. The people in our camp should be carrying out the edicts of this court, you know, and just seeing some text messages that have been kind of going back and forth, as they say in the red zone, we don't need, you know, all of this fracas. Yes, we do. Until you get over the goal line, you're gonna still have problems in the red zone.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Ensuring participation is the top priority, and as you know, we have to stay on top of it every step of the way, and that's just how it is. We've had pretty good results to date, but you have to stay with it till the end. And I'd like to thank Mr. Crawford for all of his work on this to get us to the point where we're at. The lower numbers are representative that a number of the work packages have not been solicited yet, too. So we believe in the next few weeks, those numbers will rise to 40%, and we still are going to keep pushing for even higher participation.
Well, thank you for your energy, Mr. Crawford. because, well, the court doesn't know that or not, it was pulled because we weren't even halfway there. We
But-
weren't even halfway there. And the fact that,
Well, and I just want to say that, first of all, I mean, it's always been hard when we talk about, consolidations, when we talk about being more effective, when we talk about bring Dallas County, to be that kind of employment that people would like to work on, that people would like to follow. So, I mean, this is the Mesquite Government Center, and Commissioner Daniels, I mean, finally here, I know that we still have, the East Dallas Government Center, but this is, an achievement already. I mean, from the moment that we work with the municipality to get the land, to put the project, it's been how long, Mr. Bazan, 2 years now?
Yes, Dr. Garcia, two
2 years, and like Commissioner Price, I mean, when it comes to minority participation, when it comes to moving these kind of projects forward, it's not easy. We need to find the people that want to work and that want to, be the certification, and that's what I want to thank you to staff, because I mean, we have come a long way when we started with North Dallas Government Center, South Dallas Government Center, Oak Cliff Government Center, Records Building, and now we have Mesquite in the pipeline. It's a building that was built in 1965. When you talk about failure, when you talk about system not working, when you talk about all the challenges that we have in a lot of our buildings, the only way we're going to change it is to start looking at, another way to do it. I mean, Commissioner Price talked this morning about how a conservative, this court has been spending money and utilizing it frugally the best way that we can. And this is the best way. And I just want to remind everybody that we have gone from 18 to 32%, and like Mr. Bazan say, the proof is going to be in the pudding. We will continue to improve like we did in all the other government centers. So I am happy to see that we're going to have the constable's office, the JP's office, the juvenile facilities is going to be a voting center as well. So I think that while we still have a lot of challenges, at the end of the day, when we cut that ribbon, colleagues, I am going to tell you it's going to be a better day for the city of Mesquite and the east side, the south side.
Well, Mesquite has worked. Mesquite hasn't been the issue. Mesquite has worked with us. They have accelerated when we did the exchange of property.
And I didn't mean it in that way. I mean it, and there's going to be a great government center in the city of Mesquite when they're partners, and Dallas County is going to do what we do best, which is serve people in all the different areas that we do. So
when we would not be here had it not been for Mr. Bazan beating them up, to be honest.
I got it.
And he was not bringing it back until we had reached this level.
Right. So. And I get it. And he knew. And as I said, I mean, we're even 50%.
Exactly.
But I guess what I'm saying, Mr. Martin, everybody always wants to have sugar coated. What bothers me is that they knew from the outset the expectations of this court. You keep talking about Mesquite. Mesquite is a city that is 60% people of color.
Right.
60%. 40% Hispanic, right. 22% African American. And the thing is that what just vexes my last black nerve is the fact that, they come to the table. We were at every meeting. Mm-hmm. We sat down and talked to them. Yep. And all I'm saying to staff, beyond, it percolating up to Mr. Bazan, is that when you go in there, you need to say, hey, it's not all right.
Right.
The goal is there for a reason.
And they got the message.
Oh yeah,
they got the message, and they know that
in less than 2 weeks, because this item has been pulled several times.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. So I am glad that this item is here. I'm looking forward to work with my colleagues and facilities, Mr. Bazan, and make it as good as all the other government centers. Thank you, Mr. Bazan.
Call the question. 22.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. And this takes us to our public speakers. Bailiff has already read the rules of decorum for our public speakers. And so our first public speaker today is Dolores Phillips. I don't see Dolores in the room. Is Dolores online? Okay. Yeah. Our next public speaker is Robert Cigarelli.
This working?
It's working.
That worked, yeah.
I do admit, I welcome everybody back here. This has been the best meeting since I've been here. This is really directed towards Mr. Price. I just found out Mike Miles is going to be new superintendent in Houston, sir. And I have to say that I would hope that you get involved in it. Unfortunately, Houston's salary of teachers is $57,000. Dallas is $63,000. ACT scores in Houston 23.1, Dallas 16. Wheatley High School in Houston has a SAT score of 825, Madison 797. Lincoln High School has a 1% college readiness. I get this from the Texas Tribune from 2020. And I have to say, Houston blows out Dallas as far as test scores, and college readiness is at 27% in Dallas. Houston's 38%. So what I'm trying to tell everybody is Mike Morath is involved in this, but he's not going to touch Dallas at all because of Madison High School and the principal at Madison. A lot of politics involved in South Dallas, which I've been involved in. I've seen it very, very troublesome how this lady is always protected. She has failed for 15 years. And 2015, there was a big meeting at Madison. Now it's 2023. And Wheatley still has better test scores than Madison. Lincoln has 1% college readiness. And we're talking about the blacks and whites. All I'm saying to everybody is, this lady at Madison is really, really troublesome to me. How is she still there? And then we have the school board president, Mr. Henry, saying that she should be principal of the year. And when I listened to the 1-minute invocation about her, Mr. Price, it didn't say anything about academics or test scores with Marion Willard. Only about that she had a high percentage of people that came from COVID. And it just, I'm gonna be speaking sports at Thursday night, sir. I wish you'd come and speak in front of the board about this in Houston with Mike Miles. I seen you at the church, Friendship West Baptist Church, when you spoke about Mike Miles. And I was a Mike Miles hater, but I'm just letting everybody know that South Dallas is a mess. The politics with this lady, I call her Donald Trump of South Dallas. And
You're out of time.
thank you.
Dolores Phillips just came.
Oh, okay. Dolores, we called you earlier. Oh, there you are. Come on up, Dolores.
Dolores Phillips, 2421 South Carrier Parkway, apartment 1918, Grand Prairie, Texas. I continue to study what Dallas did to Robert Gurley. 20 years my senior. Y'all literally tried to kill him. This documented in 3 different cases. I studied the documents that Scott Griggs said that it was really a setup, and so did his supporters say that he was set up with the charge of abuse of power because he said no. Sometimes saying no come with hell of a consequences. I'm not afraid to live, and I'm not afraid to transition. We must all go that route. But on October 21st, 2022, there was a hearing in Honorable Williams Court, 101st. It was my hearing. Witnesses, people worked for the state that was going to be witnesses. The court was locked. 12 hours later, we get a call saying that my grandson, less than 30 days young, was unresponsive and dead. That investigation is ongoing in F2 276924. Prior to 2014, my first cousins were two sisters' children. They were hit. His daughter was hit. The baby ejected from the car, dead on the scene. I don't believe in coincidences. Sometimes it comes with hell of a prices. Honorable Commissioner Price been sitting there 50 plus years and still haven't been honored. Sometimes dedicated work comes with hell of a prices. And I'm dedicated to the truth, the fabricated police report, the premeditated official oppression, the stolen exhibits. So now I've submitted a FORPA request again from the FBI to investigate the stolen exhibits, the reduplicated exhibits, the ongoing retaliation conspiracy to interfere with rights, and it's on and on and on. And I humbly thank you for your time.
Thank you, Dolores. Our next speaker is Patrick Arnold.
Patrick Arnold, 1702 Mayfield, Garland, 75041. I was hoping to see today on the agenda a resolution for Senior Sergeant James Hobbs, who this Friday will be retiring after 40 years with the Sheriff's Department. Sadly, I didn't see one. Shouldn't be a surprise, seeing as an act of recognition fall beyond the ability for the executive administration of the Sheriff's Department is no unseen thing. The executive administration has over time fostered a culture of failure. Jailers have labored under oppressive micromanagement, having to work overtime, missing out on their family or personal time, while being denied training they desperately need, not only to get more educated in the duties they have, but to protect themselves and safely defuse situations with defensive tactics. Training officers in the jail and sworn in the field are being ignored, being encouraged to pass their trainees or watch the trainees they had moved around and hidden until the executive administration finds a way to get them passed. I hear the new answer is to do away with patrol field training altogether in favor of some sort of exposure field training. I'm morbidly curious how the county will fare with more substandard officers being passed through training and given authority in the community. There are hearts in the jail that nearly have as much leave without pay as time showing up to work and being kept by this administration. The administration does not want to hear if they don't show up for work. They just want to hear if they do the work. Meanwhile, they don't care if sworn officers in the field can do the work. They just care for them to show up. Appearance over substance is the mantra. Too many so-called plans from this administration focus on superficial appearance, as if it will somehow manifest as professional organization. Painted walls will not prevent a sergeant from sexually harassing her employee. Wax floors will not prevent a lieutenant, now chief, having inappropriate relationships with their subordinates. A pressed uniform will not help a man pleading to be saved from another trying to kill him with a sword. A trimmed beard will not save a nearly failed sheriff's academy from recycling programs of substandard hires. An appropriate haircut will not stop the auditors from cutting off access to law enforcement information. This administration has well-known plans, and no amount of Mad Lib's corporate speak buzzwords is a substitute for listening and cooperative planning. Poor communication, memos out on Friday with transfers on Saturday, backdated memos that don't come out halfway to a deadline. Orders given directly from executives to line officers bypassing their chain of command. Changes in ranks, sometimes at the end of the pay period, sometimes not. Sometimes while the person's on vacation, without even a phone call to let them know. I do know this. Sergeant Hobbs spent 40 years at this department. Served very well. He's going to be missed very deeply by the people that he worked with. Good luck to him in his life and his retirement. And shame on the executive staff of the Sheriff's Department.
The last speaker is Carol.
She already spoke.
Oh yeah, she's already spoken. So that concludes our public speakers. We'll now go to closed session to consider matters under Chapter 551 of the Government Code. As previously posted, any action as a result of that closed session will take place in a subsequent open session. We'll be in closed session here in a couple of minutes. pick up the thing. This is all the signed stuff. We ready? Okay. All right, no action. No action is necessary from the closed session. Court stands adjourned.